Hello, and welcome back to Fem Life. If you'd like to support me, please use my affiliate links mentioned below. Every purchase you make will bring me closer to my gender transition. Today was Father's Day, and I'm really glad there's a day just for dads. My name is Adam, and I'm 7 years old. My dad is also named Adam, so I'm a junior and he's a senior. I want to share what I did for my dad on Father's Day. First, I need to mention my baby sister. She was born 4 months ago but sadly passed away right after birth due to a heart condition. That made my mom and dad extremely sad, and I was sad too. I had hoped to be a big brother and play with her. It didn't seem fair that she had to leave us so soon, and even though I didn't get to know her well, I loved her a lot. Now, you need to understand this to know about my gift. I had wanted to give my mom a little girl for Mother's Day, but my parents said it was too soon and to wait. So I did. I knew my parents were excited about having a little girl and had prepared everything for her. A week before Father's Day, I told Mom I wanted to give Dad a little girl for Father's Day, just like I wanted to give Mom for Mother's Day. Mom understood and got everything I needed to be Daddy's little girl. I was a bit nervous because I'd never been a little girl before, but I felt like it was something I really needed to do. So, here's what happened on Father's Day. It turned out to be a great day, and I had a lot of fun. I woke up at 6 in the morning, even before the sun was up. I wanted to be ready before Dad woke up. He knew about the gift, but I didn't want him to wait for me to get dressed. Mom woke me up, and I was actually dreaming I was a little girl before I even opened my eyes. Isn't that funny? The first thing I did was take a bath. I usually don't like baths, but I didn't mind this time. Mom added some scented marbles to the water that smelled like flowers. I got in and washed all over, even behind my ears. The water felt a bit sandy, but my skin was smooth and soft afterward. I smelled like flowers when I got out, and Mom wrapped me in a big, soft pink towel. She wrapped another towel around my head, and I looked like Aladdin from the cartoon movie. After that, we went to my room, and I was all clean. Mom painted my toenails with pink polish, and it looked nice. She did the same with my fingernails. I actually liked how it looked. I can see now why girls do it, it's really cool. Mom puts nail polish on for special occasions, and Jenny next door always has her mom do it. Now I had it on my nails too, so I was one step closer to being a girl. Next, Mom made sure my body was dry, which it was. She then gave me a pair of girls' underwear called panties. They were pink with ruffles all over and felt really nice, much softer than boys' underwear. I looked in the mirror, and Mom and I laughed. I looked funny but cool in them, and I liked them. I noticed there wasn't a hole in the front like with boys' underwear, but that was okay. I didn't understand why boys' underwear has a hole anyway. After that, Mom put stockings on my legs. They were a light pink with flowers woven into them. They felt silky and gave me goosebumps on my legs and arms. I could still see the nail polish on my toes through them. Mom then put on some white shiny shoes that left my toes exposed and had a small heel. I was glad they weren't like Mom's shoes that make her look like she's on tiptoes. Mom removed the towel from my head and started brushing and using the hairdryer on my hair. I never use a hairdryer, but it was needed to complete the look. Mom styled my hair to look just like Jenny's. Jenny, who's 5, is very cool for a girl. Since there aren't any other kids on my block, I usually play with Jenny. She likes running, climbing trees, and sometimes we pretend wrestle. Then Mom put a dress over my head. It was a party dress she chose, light pink with a thick pink belt around the waist and a big bow in the back. Wearing the dress felt funny, but not in a bad way. Mom zipped it up from the back, and I was almost ready to spend the day as Daddy's girl. I did wonder what would happen if the zipper broke and I had to stay trapped in the dress forever. Mom applied some lipstick and a bit of powder on my cheeks. I had never worn makeup before, but it was fine. When I looked in the mirror, I was amazed. I looked just like I was born a girl. I even thought I looked prettier than Jenny, which felt good. It would have been cool if I had been born a girl, but dressing up like this made for a special Father's Day gift. Mom was so happy that she had tears in her eyes. She gave me a big kiss on the cheek and told me how wonderful it was of me to do this. I loved making Mom happy and wanted Dad to be happy too. Mom said for the day I would be called Amanda so people wouldn't find it odd. I guess it would be unusual for a girl to be named Adam. I wonder if Mom would have named me Amanda if I had been born a girl. My sister's name was Ruth, from the Bible, just like mine, but my name came first. When we was done, it was 8 o'clock and time to get Daddy to wake up. It takes girls much longer to get ready than boys. If I stayed a boy today, it would have took 5 minutes to get dressed. I guess looking pretty takes time. I got a card that I had made out of hard spaghetti and construction paper out of the dresser. I walked into my dad's room and he was still sleeping. He snores a little when he sleeps and I laughed. I tapped him on the shoulder and he slowly opened his eyes. I was real nervous what he would say when he saw me as his little girl. Dad was so surprised when he saw his daddy's girl standing in front of him that he almost didn't know who I was. He said, "Oh my, is this my little girl?" I shook my head yes and gave him a big kiss on the cheek. I gave him the card and he thanked me for it. He sat up on the bed and had me stand a few feet away from him so he could get all of me in his mind. I spun around a few times so he could see everything. I was so happy that Dad liked it that my dimples showed and my cheeks turned red. Dad loved it and gave me a big kiss on the cheek and gave me a big hug. When my dad kissed me it tickled because he needed to shave still. Dad told me to wait downstairs for him while him and Mom talked and got ready for the day. He told me not to get messy, but I already knew that. We had a big morning planned for Daddy today and I wasn't about to ruin my pretty dress. I looked out the window while I waited for Mom and Dad. Jenny was skipping rope outside. I waved at her when she looked at me. She waved back, but I don't think she knew who I was. She just stared at me for a little while and then she went back to skipping rope. I had to go use the potty. I didn't know what to do with all I had on. I never went to the bathroom being a girl before. My mom came down just in time and she took me into the bathroom. I pulled down the frilly panties and Mom helped me lift the bottom of the dress. Luckily, the dress just covered my middle so it didn't have to go that far up. I sat down on the bowl just like girls do and tinkled. It was very funny and different. It's nicer to sit when you go, your legs don't get tired and it comes out easy and you don't get anything on the seat to wipe up. When I went back to the living room, Daddy was there and looking very handsome in his suit. He said that if I felt weird about going out like I was dressed that I didn't have to. I told him that I really wanted to and that it felt really cool to look pretty. He looked at me like I was weird, but I told him that girls liked looking pretty and that made him smile. He carried me out to the car. He never carries Adam anymore, but he is allowed to carry Amanda 'cause she is a daddy's girl. We drove to a fancy sit-down restaurant. Normally, we go to McDonald's, but today was special. The place was crowded, and I even saw some kids from school. No one recognized me, which was so exciting. I felt like I was on an undercover mission. Randy, who is in my class and on my little league team, was sitting at the table next to ours and looked right at me, but he didn't have a clue who I was. He didn't even seem to find me strange, so I knew he didn't recognize me. It was fun to think that only Mom and Dad knew the truth. When the waitress came to take our order, she complimented how pretty I looked for my dad. I smiled and said that nothing was too good for him. She chuckled, pinched my cheeks, and said I was very cute. She told my dad he was lucky to have such a precious daughter, and Dad agreed, saying he was indeed very lucky. That made me feel special. I ordered silver dollar pancakes and orange juice. Dad had French toast, which he always gets, and Mom ordered eggs. I made sure to be extra careful eating so I wouldn't spill anything on my dress. Breakfast went really good. My pancake on top had a smiley face on it. I had a lot of fun eating out with Dad at a fancy place for a change. He carried me back out to the car. I didn't mind that people saw because no one knew it was me, and that's what Daddy's girls do. Dad drove us to the park to spend an hour before we had to go to a party and Jenny's house. The dads were going to watch baseball on the big screen TV. Dad told me to make sure not to get messy, but I already knew that, and there was no way I was going to ruin my pretty dress. The park is way cool, there were a lot of dads there. I told my dad that he didn't have to go because I knew that we were going for me. He said that he wanted to take me, that he didn't get a lot of chances to take his daughter to the park and he wouldn't miss it for the world. I was very happy to do that for him. He gave me a piggyback ride and we walked over to the swings. Dad gave me a push and I started to swing high. I could feel the wind hitting the frills on the panties. It felt really nice and I wasn't expecting it. The wind hitting my panties and high on my leg felt so good I didn't want Dad to stop. Girls must love being girls because everything feels so nice. I started to wonder if everything girls did felt better than when boys did them. Soon we finished and I went on the slide. I only slid down once because the dress flew up and soon I was showing everyone my panties. There were boys watching and they pointed and laughed. I felt so embarrassed that I turned red all over. My dad said it was okay that it happened sometimes and not to worry. I wasn't all that worried and I gave him another kiss for being so nice. I then rode one of the spring horses. It was real nice to go back and forth. I wish they had real horses at the park or ponies or something, but I probably wouldn't be able to go on in such a nice dress. Mom and Dad watched and smiled and talked as I made myself tired. It was time to go. Dad carried me and I fell asleep in his arms. I must have been very tired because I got up so early in the morning. The next thing I remember is waking up in Daddy's arms, but this time we were in our driveway. I said hi Daddy and smiled at him. He gave me a kiss on my lips and that made me blush. I really liked it and that made me surprised. We went over to Jenny's house. Her mom made a big fuss over me, telling me how pretty I looked. So did Jenny's dad, he was surprised how pretty I looked as a girl. Jenny at first didn't believe that I was me. She said there was no way I could be Adam. I showed her the scar under my armpit and she knew that I was. She looked very happy when she figured it out too and told me it was about time a girl lived near her. I just smiled at her and gave her a hug for some reason. I never hug her, but this time I felt like I should. When it was time for the baseball game, I sat on Dad's lap for nearly half of it. I'm not a huge fan of baseball, but I knew Dad enjoyed it, so I stayed with him. Being held in his arms felt really comforting, and Jenny was also being held by her dad. Every time someone got a hit, we received kisses on the cheek, and whenever a run was scored, we got raspberries. It was really sweet. After the 6th inning, we were allowed to head into Jenny's room. Jenny's room was amazing. It was decorated in white and pink with ballerinas everywhere. I'd always liked her room, but I enjoyed it even more now that I was dressed as a girl. We played with her Barbie dolls, which was a new experience for me. Boys aren't usually allowed to play with dolls, and if they do, they risk getting cooties or being locked away forever. I had a blast, and we played without any fights, which was unusual. Normally, we argue every few minutes, but not today. I even admired her dress, which was like mine but yellow with a petticoat underneath. I petted it like a kitten, and we laughed a lot. I wondered what it would be like to wear something like that, though I guess my panties weren't really like a petticoat. When the game ended, our dads came in to get us. We were heading out for an early dinner before the restaurant got too crowded. We went to a steakhouse where the waitress was very kind and complimented how pretty Jenny and I looked. I never tire of hearing that I'm pretty, it always feels great, especially since this was the first time I heard it twice in one day. Jenny and I wore bibs to keep our dresses clean. We had ribs without bones and fries, and the bibs came in handy when some sauce dripped on them. Our fingers got really greasy too. Dad made me laugh by sucking my fingers before cleaning them with a napkin. On the way out, we passed a claw machine, and Dad won me a pink teddy bear, which I named Pinky. We headed back home, and Jenny and her family came over too. My dad decided that we should go swimming because it was so hot and the evening was still young. It was only 6 o'clock and I knew I spent half of the day as a girl. My mom took me to my room so I could get changed and not make a mess. My mom helped me get out of everything and asked me what I thought about being Amanda. I told her that it was way cool and that I liked it very much. She smiled and I got completely undressed. My mom pulled out a girl's swimming suit. It is called a bikini. The top looked like a t-shirt without anything on your belly. It was bright pink and black. The bottom looked like panties and they were bright pink and black too. It felt strange being in a bikini, but nice strange. When Jenny came out of the bathroom, I saw that we matched and I thought that was way cool. We walked out to the pool while our moms got changed into their suits. When our dads saw us, they whistled. We did some modeling. I didn't know how to, but I did just what Jenny did. We walked a little funny and kept looking at the sky. We then decided to jump in and I jumped into my dad's arms. It felt nice as he caught me and he gave my tush a squeeze. We swam around for a little while and then we had some water fights. Our moms just looked on while we climbed onto our dad's shoulders. The idea was to knock the other person off. Jenny won. That was okay because we had a lot of fun. My dad even threw me high in the sky and spun me around some. After an hour, Jenny and her family got up and went home. I completely forgot I was in a bikini or was even a boy. When I got out of the pool, I felt the bikini and it reminded me of everything. I had to pull the bikini from my booty because it was crawling up there all the time. Dad took me upstairs this time and gave me a bath so I could get the chlorine out of my hair. It was nice that Dad was paying attention to me like this. He washed my hair and made sure no soap got into my eyes. He said this may be his only chance to give his little girl a bath. After I was done, he dried me and even combed my hair like Mom had it. When I walked out into my room, I saw that Mom laid my night clothes out. I then realized that my dad was looking at me and I had nothing on. I turned so red, I looked like a lobster. I guess it was because I was still in girl mode, but I don't know why I didn't think about this when he was washing me. Probably because there was bubbles covering me. When my dad saw I was embarrassed, he said sorry and then left the room. I put on the new pair of panties. They were like the other ones, but these were white. They still had the frillies on them though, and that was cool. I then put on a long shirt. Mom says it is a nightie. You could see right through it, but I didn't mind. I was finally dressed and walked downstairs to join Mom and Dad in the living room. I sat on Dad's lap and we watched television. It was getting close to my bedtime and I was getting so tired. I told Dad and he carried me up to bed. Dad tucked me in and read me a bedtime story. He hadn't did that for a long time. He then gave me a big kiss and told me how much he enjoyed having me for a daughter today. I kissed him back and said you're welcome. I lay in bed for an hour, reflecting on the day but struggling to fall asleep. Feeling restless, I went to my parents' room. They were in bed but still awake. They asked me what was wrong, and I shared that I felt more comfortable being a girl than a boy and didn't want to go back to being Adam. I was afraid they would be upset, but they weren't. They invited me to join them in bed and talked with me at length. They mentioned they knew I enjoyed expressing myself as a girl. I explained that I wanted to be a girl, not just act like one. They assured me that if this was truly what I wanted, they would support me being Amanda whenever I wished. That made me feel happy. I woke up late at night and needed to share what had happened, expressing my excitement about spending another day as a girl. Tomorrow, I'll be playing as Amanda with Jenny all day, and I hope I can remain Daddy's girl forever.